seconds.
And certainly, Parkman, certainly that they will not let Northern Ireland down tonight.
Yeah, I think as the...
Well, welcome back to Wembley Stadium. The teams are just about due to come onto the field, and the atmosphere is absolutely brilliant. It's the biggest crowd, as I say, that has ever been here for an England-Ireland game. And down in the tunnel we can see the Swedish officials, Mr. Ulf Eriksson, the referee.
He probably stretched to a point where he hasn't been for the last 3 or 4 months. I think Cochrane and possibly the attacking players on Ireland really will probably be the balance of the sides tonight. And I don't think there'll be a lot of goals in it, but I'll be very surprised if Ireland are beat tonight.
What about the English midfield, though, of Tony Curry and Brooking for the first time?
Well, Brooking's had a lot of problems with injury over the last 2 or 3 months. Tony Curry really is a player on form at the moment, and if possibly McCurry can do a job in either Curry or Brooking really is not as mobile as a player of his calibre should be, and I really do think that England in the middle of the park don't have too much strength there, and I'm quite convinced that probably McIlroy, Martin O'Neill and certainly McCurry will be too strong for the middle of the park.
Right, well, you're putting a lot of question marks against England. You really think we can get a result?
Well, I'm not really too confident at the moment. I haven't met an English person in the last couple of days since the team has been announced that is confident, and I think Ireland has probably got a better chance of qualifying for the finals or the quarter-finals in Rome next year than any time over the last 20 years.
Right, well, a final word. It's a bit damp and dark at Wembley at the moment. What about the pitch?
Oh, come on, it's fantastic. I mean, the pitch is unbelievable, and it's probably the best surface I have seen for the last 2 months. And I think, quite honestly, that there'll be no question mark after the pitch tonight. There's been a lot of question marks in England about the state of pitches, but Wembley is perfect for this time of year.
Right, should be a good game. Well, let me move across, Derek, now to a young man who's surprised to be at Wembley, Eamon Horish. How are you here tonight, Eamon?
I won a competition on Good Evening Ulster last night to
Well,
get a ticket for tonight's match.
As you know, I was in England last night, so what was the question?
When was the last time Northern Ireland beat England, and who scored the winning goal?
And when was that?
72, and Terry Neal, player manager,
I think
scored
we
the
all
goal.
know of that.
Yeah.
Is this your first time to Wembley?
Yes, delighted to be here.
What about Northern Ireland's chances?
Very good, best I've had, and I think we'll win.
Any scoreline?
1-0, I think.
So there we are. Eamon, hope you enjoy the game. 1-0, Eamon says, for Northern Ireland. We'll know that at about 25 minutes past 9. But do remember, the programme on Ulster Television starts at 7:30. The game itself kicks off at 7:45. Do join us. All right.
Yorkshire, please. 30 seconds. No turning back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Well, it's damp, it's grey, and it's even a little bit hazy here at Wembley, but thankfully it's mild, and the pitch looks really in first-class condition. And to talk about tonight's European Championship match, I'm very pleased to have with me here on the pitch the manager of the moment, West Bromwich Albion's Ron Atkinson, who's with ITV's coverage of the game tonight. Ron, you've had a walk on the pitch. What are your impressions?
Pitch is absolutely superb. I should think the players will come out and really look forward to playing on that tonight.
What sort of match are we going to see tonight, do you think?
I think the Irish are obviously going to make it very, very, very difficult. I think they'll work very, very hard in midfield to make it hard for people like Curry and Brooking to get a lot of possession. I think that's the key area for me tonight. If they're given time, if they're given space, Curry and Brooking I think will run the game. But I think people like McIlroy and McCreary's obviously been put in there. He's a busy little player. I think he will work very, very hard at both our midfield players.
You can see Northern Ireland denying us time and space, but can you see them doing enough to cause an upset?
I don't know about an upset. A draw wouldn't surprise me.
Really?
I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me. I rather fancy England might win about 2-1. But as I say, I think we've got a hell of a lot on our hands tonight. The result in Bulgaria is obviously going to make the Irish play.
Ron Greenwood's called England the underdogs. Is that a little bit of kidology, do you think?
I think it might be a safety valve. There's no way you can rate England underdogs here today. We've got the pick of the players in the league. Danny Blanchflower, as we know, has got probably his first First Division side, but some of them aren't really regulars in the First Division, whereas we've got people from Liverpool and so forth who are steeled in every event.
England have also got Laurie Cunningham on the bench. Were you surprised he wasn't an outright selection?
I honestly thought he would start the game, but looking at the selection of the side, we've gone right back to the old guard. I mean, people like Ray Clemence, Peter Shilton's.
Does that surprise you?
It does. I don't say it's a weakness because I think both of them are tremendous keepers. But I felt Shilton would be in the side.
And you might be keeping an eye on Tony Curry tonight with your game against Leeds coming up on Monday.
Yes, well, in the last international, he was easily the best English player. And I'm hoping he can turn it on tonight and run himself out of steam for Monday.
And a forecast tonight?
I think England 2-1.
Ron, I hope you enjoy the game and I hope you enjoy working for ITV tonight. Now back to the Calendar Sports studio.
Friday evening programme.
When's it start? Is it starting?
Oh, it's starting, yes, in 20 weeks. It's great fun.
How long is it?
Half an hour. About 15 minutes of soccer and then
30 seconds.
the second half.
What time is it on Friday?
Friday evenings, too early at the moment. That's its trouble. It's 5:15.
Can we move you into the camera?
I'm not doing that.
And your way. That's it. 15.
Blonde the little people, don't you?
Yes. 10. 8. 7. 6. 5.
Derek, there's been an awful lot of talk, a fair amount of blarney about this match. Now we come to the reality. What do you think is going to happen tonight?
Well, I honestly do believe that Northern Ireland have got a great opportunity, possibly the greatest opportunity that they've had over the last 20 years. I mean, if they get a result tonight, it means they're going to be 4 points ahead. They've got to go away to Denmark, and then they've got 4 matches at home. And I cannot see really England doing it. It means they've got to win probably 4 games, and they cannot do it on their present form. And of course, the team that Ron Greenwood has picked really is still causing a great deal of controversy, certainly in London today.
Would you have picked the side he has, or would you have gone for Shilton and Anderson rather than Clemence and Neil, for instance?
Well, I'm not so much about Neil, but I certainly would have picked Peter Shilton because he's certainly a man in form. And there are a number of other people. You cannot really have ruled out possibly the likes of Regis. Laurie Cunningham is the most exciting player on the scene at the moment. But I hope that Ron Greenwood doesn't rue his sentiment and let his emotion really speak for him. I think that he should have stuck to really the players in form. And a number of the players that he's playing tonight really have got a question mark by them.
Can I ask you to be objective about it?
I don't think it'll be very close. I think that possibly it could be a runaway victory, but at the same time, I'll go along with Blanchflower. The Irish team really are playing with a tremendous amount of heart at the moment, a great deal of spirit, and I would think probably it'd be a 1-0 either way.
Derek Dugan, thanks very much indeed. Not an unbiased view, I don't think, but still, you'll be able to see for yourselves whether Danny Blanchflower and Derek Dugan are right. Coverage begins at 7:30. It's live on ITV and it's exclusive on ITV. So don't forget, England v Northern Ireland on ITV exclusively, 7:30.
Well, this is the moment the 92,000 crowd has waited for. the arrival at the mouth of the tunnel of the two teams. Emlyn Hughes as the skipper of England, and the great Pat Jennings, goalkeeper extraordinary, as captain of Northern Ireland. And what a reception. Emlyn Hughes, quite a night for him. Ray Clemence, what a night for him when so many people feel that Peter Shilton should have got the job. Maybe overlooking the fact that Shilton, that Clemence is a great goalkeeper in his own right. Kevin Keegan there, and Trevor Brooking bringing up the rear for England. Is about to get underway now as Ireland get us away, attacking the goal to our left, and straight away a touch for the incomparable Jennings. Jimmy Nicholl, Armstrong heading it on, and well, Hughes was aiming to give a first touch to Ray Clemence, but he didn't come off. Thought he was impeded, I think, there by Caskey. Here's Caskey, number 10. This is Cochrane playing the ball through there for McElroy, and it was as well for England that Watson got across there. That could have been very dicey indeed for England, and it's a throw for Northern Ireland. McElroy again, and a deep, long cross coming in behind the England goal for a goal kick. Phil Neal. I suppose we've spoken about Clemence being under pressure tonight. Phil Neal is on the ball at the moment. The same really applies to him because Viv Anderson played so well in his first international. Hughes playing it short to Watson, who took a nasty knock playing for Manchester City against Tottenham on Saturday. The long ball putting Keegan through, brought down though by Jimmy Nicholl when it looked as though Keegan might get free. And they're urgently calling everybody back for Northern Ireland. Well, England did well from free kicks in Denmark, from Brooking free kicks at that, floated in there towards Latchford, too high for him, and a simple touchdown for Chris Nicholl. Towards Armstrong, being watched by Watson. In fact, it was Armstrong who accidentally kicked Watson at White Hart Lane on Saturday. Here's Hughes finding Neal. Playing it forward with a bit of positive play there by and Latchford given that ball badly straight to Caskey. What was he thinking of? And Armstrong's through, and a shot across the face of the goal, a weak one. And as well as for England it was, as Jerry Armstrong there, it really was of England's making. Their slight problem there, a terrible pass from Latchford. Nicholl versus Latchford. Nicholl's header. Armstrong nodding it down for Terry Cochrane of Middlesbrough. And Hughes playing it back again. Neal now to Coppell. Scored the only goal against Czechoslovakia. Comes to him again. It's Jimmy Nicholl's ball. Armstrong versus Watson, and Watson judged it well. McCreary trying to play it through there. McCreary picking it up again. Mills getting in, and nobody really getting any decided advantage from it. Cochrane to McElroy. There with a lot of skill, but it was Mills who cut out that poorish pass. And Curry, almost the first touch he's had. Brooking taken from behind. The Swedish referee won't allow that. And Brooking's already taken the free kick. And the referee, although he didn't see it, allowed it to go on. Allowed England a good advantage there. So it's with Coppell. Played for Neil. Hughes again, playing it in towards Brooking. McElroy closed very quickly on him, and Jennings there before Keegan. Again, Hughes beating Kasky with the header. Here's Tony Curry. Neil scored the only goal when England beat Northern Ireland here in the home internationals last summer. It's Rashford now for England. Curry playing it in. Armstrong. Short for Martin O'Neill. Trying to get Sammy Nelson down that wing. And lovely left foot. And it's cut out well by Hughes. And back to Clemence. Testing opening 5 minutes, getting the feel of things. McElroy. Now Peter Barnes. Coming off Pat Rice's hand, and the whistle had gone. England, the Arsenal captain, Pat Rice. Now Armstrong. Shaking off Phil Neal. Jack Charlton.
We thought Kevin Keegan maybe pulled back to play in midfield for England, but it's nice to see he's not playing there. He's playing up front, in fact.
Well, he's right up there now as Coppell takes it up for England. Played in there towards Keegan. He wasn't a good cross for him, and he couldn't react quickly enough to him, but it very nearly came to him off Sammy Nelson. McElroy. McCreary. Rice has gone bounding forward. What a good run by him, with Cochrane outside him. And Rice continuing that run. But Hughes, who's let nothing past him yet, finding Curry short. And Hughes finding Mills. Brooking, nice touch. Now, a chance for Barnes to run at it. And a chance for him to run at Nicol. Keegan's outside him. And Barnes took it too far. Well, Keegan was beautifully placed outside him and had made the run right across his eye line. He surely didn't fail to spot him. Jack?
I think Kevin's run was a little bit unfortunate there, actually, because Peter Barnes wanted to go down the outside, but Kevin took someone over that side with him and closed the space off he wanted to use. He's much better down the outside, Peter Barnes.
Martin O'Neill. Cochrane again. Oh, he dummied Mills well. Watson had to do something positive. So Rice with the throw. Hughes again getting in quickly. And Jimmy Nicol turning it in. Oh, and McElroy very nearly was able to turn almost a lazy pass out there by Brooking, but eventually it found Barnes, and away he goes. Latchford outside him, just onside. And here's Coppell coming up quickly as well. Good break by England, and an interesting shot by Coppell. But on that form, certainly Barnes looking in the mood.
He's an exciting player, Peter Barnes, but he's got to be allowed the room to run into. And England players have got to learn to clear the space behind defenders so that he's allowed to go on his own. He was cut off there, and he really should have been allowed to go a lot further.
Shot from Coppell, as we saw, always swinging a little wider than it looked from this sort of angle. Coppell's header. England basically with 4 men in the midfield. Of course, Curry and Brooking, the dominant characters there, but Barnes and Coppell both filling in the wings from deep positions, and just Keegan and Latchford up front. Watson. Now Keegan. Oh, and it might come for Keegan. But he hasn't got a lot of support in the middle. Now Brooking's arriving, played back there by Keegan towards Curry, and Northern Ireland get it away, and here's Terry Cochrane running at Mills. Now at Hughes. The finish wasn't there. Curry. My word, Curry's got himself into trouble there in England too. McCreary now finding Cochrane. And again, big Dave Watson. His header, a good one, with a lot of distance to it. And Brooking taking it up with a Coppell again, making a great run down the right for him. Keegan going through the middle. Here's Coppell. Hit in lower this time towards Keegan. Can he hit it and turn? And he can. It'll come for Barnes. And down goes Jennings. Well, it was probably as well for Northern Ireland that Keegan's shot was blocked, and Barnes, in fact, couldn't quite find enough power to trouble Jennings. But a good, positive break by England. Hughes, that glided past him, and here's Armstrong. Caskey's gone into the middle, and McElroy's in there too. And that's a corner for Northern Ireland. Or is it? No, it's a goal kick. Well, we've spoken about England in terms of Keegan, in terms of Barnes. Jackie, what do you feel about Northern Ireland so far in these opening minutes?
Well, at the moment they've had as much of the game as England have had, but the final ball, especially from Terry Cochrane on the right-hand side, has been very, very poor. In fact, the 4 or 5 balls that he has had up to now that he could have made good use of, he's in fact given away, or he's knocked them out to play behind the goals. And, you know, he's got to be a lot more positive if Ireland are going to do anything, because he's a tremendously gifted player.
Well, here's Cochrane on the ball now, and he had no chance to do anything there because Mills had closed him right down, gave him no room. Mick Mills, in fact, who's been playing very well in the midfield for Ipswich. Now in the back four on the left-hand side for England tonight. And a really noisy Wembley night. Jimmy Nicholl to Sammy Nelson for Northern Ireland. No goals with 12 minutes gone. Again, Curry there first. Here's Coppell. Armstrong. Played back for Martin O'Neill. And Phil Neal sending Brooking after that. Keegan, that's a good ball, and Keegan. That's got the crowd going. Dummying Nicholl, beating Cochrane, finding Brooking. Long cross coming in, and it was allowed to come a long way. Tony Curry lining up the shot, hitting it though straight at Sammy Nelson. Phil Neal supporting him. There's the cross going in again towards Coppell. That'll be easy for Jennings. McElroy. He had a lot of space there going forward. And look at the space here for Jerry Armstrong. And Caskey's waiting in the middle, but cut out well by Dave Watson. Well, that's gone straight to McCreary. It was unfortunate for Watson that Coppell slipped just as the ball was coming towards him. Instead, it's now with Armstrong. Well, he's gone past Watson. Not a good cross. Tony Curry. Oh, what a ball there by Curry, straight to Brooking. He picked him up beautifully, and he in turn picks up Barnes. Faced by Nicholl. Obstruction and a free kick for England. A lovely ball by Tony Curry, Jack.
Yeah, that's what Tony Curry at his best. When he looks up and he sprays the ball about, he's got a terrific range to his game. But that's one of the positions out there on the left that might cause a few problems for Ireland, because Jimmy Nicholl isn't the quickest fullback in the world, and Peter Barnes is a little bit sharp for him, and we're going to see a lot of fouls on that side of the field tonight.
Ireland's captain. Jerry Armstrong's header. Brooking and Mills first to react to that. Keegan quickly off his man there, and a little touch finding Latchford. Here's Brooking, here's a chance for England. Latchford going on, Jennings coming right to his goal, out of his goal, and crossed in, and in the end it was Sammy Nelson who had to put it away. But it was a lovely touch by Keegan that started it. And a corner for England, which Barnes will take. Keegan's right in there. Brooking, who also played a good part in that move, and Chris Nicholl with the header away. But Ireland for a moment were dreadfully exposed there. Something like a 3 against 2 as England came forward, offside there by Brooking, and a free kick to Northern Ireland.
If England are going to cash in on crosses tonight, they've got a chance with Big Dave Watson coming up, because they've only got really Chris Nicholl in the centre of the midfield at the back, and any crosses are going to be 2 big fellas against 1 here tonight, and it could be interesting if they throw the right sort of balls in.
Well, there's Big Dave Watson back there, the 2 big fellas who could be up in those situations, Watson and Latchford, outnumbering Chris Nicholl. Here's McMills for England. Keegan, well-timed jump. I think everybody felt that McCreary would stand on Keegan. We've had no evidence of that yet. As Cochrane puts a long ball in, and it's well gathered by Clemence. Under no great pressure. Coppell to Keegan. And Brooking trying to gather the ball up, and it didn't quite run for him. Here's McCreary. It's a good ball there to Armstrong, played in again for Sammy McIlroy. Caskey and Armstrong up. Here's Armstrong, and here's McIlroy. Caskey's in that England 6-yard area, and that's going to be an Irish throw. Big Dave Watson there, keeping an eye on Jerry Armstrong, as Sammy Nelson, who throws a good long ball, aiming maybe towards Armstrong in that 6-yard area. Well, in fact, it's Martin O'Neill and Clemence coming out and having a word or two with his defence, with Phil Neal in particular. Martin O'Neill way off the mark with that shot. A goal kick for England, 16 minutes gone. Big Bob Bletchard up front, being watched by Chris Nicholl of Southampton. Keegan versus Nicholl. And Rice, the way back to Jennings, is cut off. Mills, nicely guided header for Barnes, played in here for Brooking. And Brooking didn't get a touch on that. Mills did on that, but it falls for Cochrane instead, and that's an England throw. To Watson. Barnes chasing that, but he has no hope of getting that. th appearance Pat Jennings has made in Northern Ireland England games. That's a record, beating the record held by Jimmy McIlroy and Billy Bingham of Ireland and Billy Wright of England. He was stretching for that one, and Mills, ground, as you can see, cutting up a fair bit, and Mills losing out badly there. Armstrong sending Cochrane away. The cross coming in towards Armstrong, and in the end, it was Tony Curry's header. Now McIlroy. He ran into the man. There was never a hope of a penalty there. He played it past him. Curry. Oh, in fact, it was Chris Nicholl's determination that's got the touch there. Hughes finding Coppell. Played in firmly there. Latchford played it on, but it was too firm for Keegan. That's Billy Caskey. Watson up. And McCreary going a long way back. That'll fall for McElroy. Curry trying to make something of it, but I think has given away a free kick. He has. A free kick to Northern Ireland. And on the Irish bench, Blanchflower with the hat on in the middle. Quite satisfied, I would think, with the way his side is shaken down to this Wembley game. Rice's free kick, Hughes' header, Keegan for Brooking. That'll fall a little too close, though, to Jimmy Nicol. Now McElroy. Cochrane. And Watson didn't really get a positive touch there. Barnes coming in. Brooking just touching it on. It'll fall for Latchford, and now for Coppell. One or two promising things have developed from Coppell down this right touchline. And here's a pass for Latchford. Supported here by Tony Curry. And O'Neill just nicking out the foot there, but Neil and Curry between them making a bit of progress here. Phil Neal for England with the cross. And the header superbly saved. My word, Coppell's header looked as certain against a lot of goalkeepers it would have been. But Jennings' reactions not for a moment let him down. The cross by Neil. And look at that brilliant piece of keeping.
In fact, it was too good a header, that, Brian. If he had deflected it, it would have gone in.
Well, here's the corner. Brooking with it. Mills right in there. The fist of Jennings didn't reach it. And a goal kick. Creating one or two useful-looking things down this right flank at the moment, England, Jack.
Yes, Steve Coppell's looking the part tonight. Curry likes to feed someone out wide on the right with balls, and Phil Neal's backing him up well, and it's given him a lot of space down here, and all the danger that England created has all come down the right-hand side. It's interesting to see in the Ireland setup, though, that Sammy McElroy is being played up behind the front two to get up there and support them.
Armstrong going for this one, but not controlling it. Watson with time to consider one or two things, and then he plays it straight at the Irish centre-forward. Back it goes to Ray Clemence. Keegan, nice touch. Brooking. Barnes. Cross coming in again. Nelson's header away. Neil supporting again, looking to get Curry on his way, in fact. And a foul there by Neil on Caskey, and the Swedish referee coming across, whistle in mouth. And a few thoughts in his mind for Phil Neal. Good strong lad, Billy Caskey. And it'll be Jimmy Nicol with the free kick. Coppell played back for Neil. He'll go back to his Liverpool teammate, Ray Clemence. Keegan battling with Rice. Manchester United's Jimmy Nicol. Hughes playing it forward. Get after that one. He says to Keegan, and here's Keegan with Barnes outside him. Brooking's gone through the middle there in an onside position. In towards Latchford, in towards Coppell. And it was Nelson who got that away. O'Neill getting it on its way. Mills intercepting for England. Here's Phil Neal for England. Played wide now for Coppell. Interesting cross towards the far post. Keegan. Well, the smile of Keegan, the cross of Coppell, and Pat Jennings just beaten to the punch there by Kevin Keegan's head. Jackie?
Well, that's exactly what we said what might happen. See, Chris Nichols anchored at the far post, and Jimmy Nichols the one who's having to take the near post, and he's not a good marker in that area. Keegan didn't really know what had happened to that ball, but he was left with a free position in the middle of goals, and that's exactly the way I thought goals might come tonight.
I think there was a bit of shoulder in it as well as head, but it's put England into the lead 1-0 with 25 minutes gone. The scorer Kevin Keegan, and here's Sammy Nelson now for Northern Ireland. Nice backward header there by Martin O'Neill, but coming to nothing. Coppell again, who really has looked good. Shoving the back by Armstrong, and he got away with that one. McMills just sticking out a foot. Cochrane trying a back heel, but to no avail. Barnes almost tripping himself up, and then losing it in a bad position there to Terry Cochrane. And it's Mills to the rescue there again for England to stop that ball coming in. Barnes turning it back. Brooking playing it on. Keegan onside once more. But Chris Nicholl back for Northern Ireland. Watson there. Now McElroy for Northern Ireland. Beautiful mover. Very skillful player, Sammy McElroy. But finding it difficult to lose Phil Neal. There he is again. And now O'Neill. McCreary. Nelson. McCreary. Well, he's winkled his way past Phil Neal, but he couldn't get a shot in. Turned back there towards McElroy, and there's no offside, and a corner given. I think England half stopped there, thinking that McElroy was well offside.
I thought the goalkeeper was a little bit fortunate there to get away with that, actually, because I don't think he really made contact on the ball. He seemed to make contact on the player. And I've seen penalties given for a lot less than that.
Well, McElroy will take the corner for Northern Ireland, and Chris Nicholl is right up on that England line. There he is, making life very difficult indeed for Clemence. At a time when England really would want to consolidate that lead that Keegan has given them, the last thing they'd want is to be pulled back here now. But here are Ireland with this corner and McElroy. Well, it was Latchford's header that got it away. Rice just a little too slow there. But nonetheless, it's Cochrane who puts it up, and I think the flag is up on the far side. It was as Kasky and Clemence clashed. Oh, my word, what happened there? And, well, I think Armstrong is saying that Hughes in fact fell without being touched, and I think the knowing look of Ulf Eriksson would say the same thing. You see it? Well, maybe we can have a look. Maybe we can have a look and see exactly what happened there. Well, a bit of a push, but certainly I'm sorry to say, but Emlyn really made the most terrible meal of that, and it does him no credit. But no yellow cards, no names were taken, and here's Hughes on his way. And now there's a gap at the back as Cochrane takes it up. And Mills getting in. Cochrane. That's not a bad cross there. And it might yet go anywhere. England scrambling it away. O'Neill being hustled unfairly by Watson. That's a free kick to Northern Ireland, right on the edge of the penalty area. And since England have scored, they've hardly been out of their own penalty area. So Martin O'Neill going into the England penalty area. It's going to be McIlroy or Nelson. 3 men in the wall. Coppell, Brooking and Curry. Nelson running over it. And a curler! Oh my word, it went against the post from McIlroy. Well, that was an amazing stroke of luck for England. It completely fooled him, and now here's Armstrong coming through. And England just cannot get that ball forward. They've got a corner now, Northern Ireland. What a good free kick, though, by McIlroy. We'll quickly see it before this corner's taken. Curled in there against Clemence's post. Here's the corner now. Jerry Armstrong with the header, and Kasky couldn't react quickly enough. Jack, you've been trying to say something in all that excitement.
I'm a bit worried about Ray Clemence. He seems to be... that ball that was curled across there, he seemed to just let go. And he's not been very, very positive at all inside that box tonight. I'm just a little bit worried about him.
Curry, and back it goes to the aforementioned Ray Clemence. Well, that's Curry, but Clemence... Certainly, Jack's right, he hardly moved for that McIlroy free kick. Peter Barnes. Keegan up ahead of him, not quite sure what Barnes is going to do. He's brought down, oh, and he's let it go on, but I thought that was a trick by Jimmy Nicholl.
They also said there would be a few fouls if he was run at Jimmy Nicholl, and that's exactly what happened, because it was a foul and the referee missed it, but he certainly went for the player.
Quite obviously a foul. Dave Watson pumping that forward. I should think glad to see it out of that England penalty area for a few minutes.
Actually, England need a little settling down period of about 5 minutes now. They haven't been able to get hold of the ball properly since they got the goal, and they need a little bit of a time now to settle the game down and get hold of it again.
It's an Irish throw. Cochrane. Coppell's going in there. It's an England throw off Pat Rice. 32 minutes gone, England leading by 1-0 by Kevin Keegan after 25. Curry playing it wide, imperiously almost there for Neil and now for Barnes, with Coppell and Barnes having switched wings. Barnes with a left foot shot, driven against Jimmy Nicholl. Peter Barnes, who's never scored for England, but that was way on target, that one. Nicholl forward to McIlroy. Well, can Phil Neal get into that one? He can, and he finds Brooking. Lets that run in that characteristic way of his. Finds Keegan. Swept wide for Coppell on that left wing. With England front men lining up, but Pat Rice's header. Peter Barnes. Now, will Mills be able to drive it in? He won't, and there's a chance maybe for an Irish break, led by Martin O'Neill. Armstrong. Getting past Neil. Lining up a shot maybe, being forced across that area by Dave Watson. Rice. Cochrane. Well, that'll come for Keegan. Ratchford going for it, but slipping and stumbling. Terry Cochrane to Sammy Nelson for Northern Ireland. Dave McCreary. McIlroy. And here he is again. Certainly looked Ireland's most accomplished player, I think, McIlroy, so far tonight. It's with Barnes, very deep. Keegan, again trying to come off Chris Nicholl. And Nicholl not only beats him, but tries to set up an attack himself, but it's England's ball. I think it's... Mr. Eriksson has given it to Northern Ireland. Kasky. That was Watson there. And then it was Neil. McElroy. Wanting Nelson to get a low cross in that could have been devastating. In the end, there was a whistle giving England the free kick. Yes, Jack.
Sammy McElroy's certainly been the pick of the Irish players tonight. He's playing a good position for Sammy McElroy. He's sort of free behind the front two and allowed to go and pick up the positions he wants to pick up. And he's very good at going forward on the ball. And he pulls the England defence around a lot. And he's certainly the most effective Irish player.
Keegan, a lovely touch now for Latchford. A blockbusting left foot shot, but causing more trouble for the press photographers than it did for Pat Jennings.
It's an interesting situation, the game at the moment, because England having got that goal, it means Ireland's got to come out and have a go at them. They can't afford to sit back now. They've got to get a goal. And every time England break now, they're looking as if they can make something out of it.
Well, here are Ireland on the break again now. Galloping full-back Pat Rice. Jimmy Nicholl planted forward there towards Armstrong, but Dave Watson has that situation under control. But has he? What a bad ball there. And Clemence goes down as Cochrane tries a shot. And there was almost a death wish on that bit of play by Dave Watson. Handing the ball to the opposition on the edge of the penalty area is really not to be recommended, and it's unusual for Watson to do it.
One of the cardinal sins of a centre-back, you'd never play the ball across your own goal mouth, and that was a terrible ball from Dave, and it should have been punished better than it was.
Well, here's Curry for England. Sweeping that ball with the outside of his boot with beautiful accuracy here to Peter Barnes. Curry again, letting it go. And Keegan again challenged fiercely by Chris Nicholl, but fairly. Curry once more. Played forward towards Keegan. Oh, that was a miscalculation there by Kevin Keegan. He thought that he could let the ball bounce and get it before it reached the byline, but it gathered a bit of pace on this dampish turf. It's been a miserable day all day in London with a lot of mist around about lunchtime and some drizzle that has given a gloss to this surface. McMills. Latchford coming off Chris Nicholl. And Hughes back to Clemence. Nicholl winning it in the air. Curry trying to turn it down, but in fact was knocked on the arm there by maybe a high boot from McElroy. At least a free kick's been given to England. Sammy McElroy there. As the free kicks floated in towards Keegan. Latchford had come inside though, and Nicholl for Northern Ireland. Now McElroy, stopped by Watson. Curry and Watson getting each other's way now. Curry finds Barnes. Keegan going wide. Brooking going through the middle. Barnes going on his own onto the left foot. And well, there were one or two options open to him, Jack.
Yeah, but he's good at that, Peter Barnes. He's got a great left foot on him, and running from the right side of the field across and opening the angle out for himself. You know, he's liable to plant one of those in the back of the net any time. And it's noticeable that him and Coppell have now changed wings. And, you know, especially Peter Barnes can be very effective on the right-hand side of the field. I'm not happy with Coppell out there, though.
Nelson's header. And Watson will slice that kick, but Hughes got a good firm header in, but it only comes to Cochrane here. And Rice needing to change direction quickly. Cochrane for Northern Ireland. That's a nice little bit of play there by Kasky for Nelson. A swinging left foot cross there, and well, Clemence just got a touch to it, and the ball didn't go out of play. And here it comes in again. Hughes with the header this time, straight to Armstrong. And a deflection off England's captain and behind for the corner. But there's certainly muddled thinking at the moment in that England defence. And again, an example, I think, Jack, of Ray Clemence not being quite sure of himself.
Well, I don't think he got a touch of that. He went chasing the ball and never got anywhere near it. And it left everybody unbalanced. They didn't know what was happening. And he's causing a lot of uncertainty at the back of the England team at the moment.
Well, here's an Irish corner. Armstrong's header. No, in fact, it was Watson who got the header that mattered. Here's Martin O'Neill. And Hughes preventing the cross coming in. McElroy. Well, now, can somebody turn on this? No, he can't, because the flag is up on the far side. The Swedish linesman.
The two Irish forwards, Armstrong and Kasky, have battled away with not to a great deal of effect. But the man who's had most of the ball in this game is little Cochrane on the outside right position. But he's used the ball very, very badly, and they've really got nothing off him at all.
Well, here's Hughes for England. Keegan. Mills trying to play it through. Hughes getting in first again, but as Jack said, Armstrong doing a lot of battling there in a very deep position, and it's a throw for Northern Ireland, or a free kick. Indeed, it's a free kick for the foul on Jerry Armstrong. Rice with the free kicks. Hit high towards the head of Dave Watson. England, of course, these 2 points behind Northern Ireland, but they've played one fewer game. But Ireland have played a couple of difficult away ones in Bulgaria and in the Republic of Ireland, with a nice string of fixtures to come at Windsor Park. It's really imperative for England's chances of qualifying for the European Championships in Rome next summer, not this coming summer, in the summer of 1980, that Ron Greenwood's men win and get 2 points here tonight. Well, they're 1-0 up with about 2.5 minutes to go to half-time. The onus is far greater on England to get a victory than it is for the Irish. Tremendous bonus, though, it would be to Danny Blanchflower's men. In fact, it would put them in a really powerful position that they, in fact, put them out of reach of everybody. Keegan, a beautiful ball now for Barnes. In for Tony Curry. Well, it was very high and wide, but a lot of the credit to that goes to Sammy Nelson, because he came in very bravely on the floor there, just picking himself up as Curry came in on that one.
It's nice to see Tony Curry playing the way he is tonight, actually. He's been a lot more positive than I've seen him in some of his games with Leeds. He's in fact letting the ball go very early and letting other people play and keeping the game flowing. He's also a bit better marker than people think, and he's picking up a lot in midfield.
Hughes winning it in the air. Curry coming in quickly for England there. Cochrane trying to get McCreary on his way. He's still got to get past Dave Watson, though. Jerry Armstrong, Dave McCreary, Pat Rice, and Martin O'Neill on that far side. Curry's header. Brooking bringing it away. McCreary after him. Brooking again. I think a little bit worried that West Ham had so few games in the last 6 weeks or so. Nobody's had many, but West Ham have had fewer than most. And feeling he might be a little bit rusty, but it was a nice ball for Coppell. Played in now towards Mills and then Keegan. And Keegan really didn't control that.
Well, I don't think he was expecting it there, Brian. It was a sort of a half-hearted shot by Mick Mills that finished at Kevin Keegan's feet. Had he been expecting the ball, he would have probably controlled it and stuck it in the back of the net. It was a terrific chance because he had a lot of room there.
And that's the half-time whistle. Right on time. And England then leading 1-0 with a goal by Kevin Keegan. Scored with a combination of head and shoulders after 25 minutes that puts England's noses in front by a 0-0 in this crucial European Championship match that really England must win. And Ireland will be battling away so hard you can be sure in the second half. We take a break now, and after that break we'll be getting the views of West Bromwich Albion manager Ron Atkinson. So stay right with us. Terry Cochrane, the number 11, to do that. We're now waiting then for the start of this second half. And it'll be England who get the kick-off. Attacking the goal to our left, and away we go. England leading 1-0. Kevin Keegan the scorer. Emlyn Hughes on the ball for England, and back straight away to Ray Clemence. That's a kick that's going straight to Cochrane. Shoved off the ball unceremoniously there was McCreary by Curry. Here's Peter Barnes doing the thing that Jack Charlton likes him to do. A lovely little flick though for Keegan, and a good cross by Keegan to the far side, and the header coming in, and it's there by Letchford. Barnes absolutely superb, but what a good piece of crossing by Keegan here. And they've got in a bit of a muddle there, the Irish, between Pat Jennings and the post, just going off Pat's hand. And within a minute of the start of the second half, England have given themselves some breathing space. Jack.
That was one of the best crosses I've ever seen, because the ball was going away from Kevin. But Bob Latchford's header went exactly where Pat Jennings didn't want it to go, which was down at his feet and in by the near post.
And he's not everybody's cup of tea, I think, as an England centre-forward, Bob Latchford, but he scored in Denmark, he scored in Dublin, and now he scored here at Wembley. The 3 European Championship games that England have played so far in this series, Bob Latchford has scored in each of them. So 2-0 England. Hughes chasing this back. Linesman in fact was flagging on this side, but Ulf Eriksson, the Swedish referee, said let it go. England in possession. Well, exactly the start to the second half that England wanted. They, as Jack was saying, they went in fits and starts in that first half. Keegan getting past Jimmy Nicholl. Played in short again towards Latchford, and my word, he nearly got another touch in there that mattered. Throw to England. And really, Jack, it was breathing space that they required. I think I noticed that Derek Spence is warming up on the far side for Northern Ireland, the striker.
Yeah, it was an exact right time to get another goal. Now, England, who knows what the score could be now? You know, the score could be England 4 or 5 now. Or it can be, if Ireland get back in the game, a 2-2 draw. But England are looking much more positive in this early stages.
Here's Keegan. McElroy away. Watson's header falling straight though for Ireland again. It's Martin O'Neill making a good positive break there, going past Watson that time, but Phil Neal was covering well.
It was lovely to see Peter Barnes' run for that goal though. You know, I like the way the England players got out of the back of the people and let him run at him into the space behind him. Keegan's run was perfect. Perfect.
Well, here's Keegan again. That was perfect too for Brooking. A shot and just passed. They're really on the rampage in the opening minutes of their second half, England, playing powerfully but with great artistry as well. Well, look at this touch by Keegan coming up there, and how well Brooking turns on it. But sadly, his finishing wasn't quite as good, although maybe there was a touch of luck about it for Jennings as well. A corner then, which Brooking will take. Watson's there, and another one! 3-0! The agony of Pat Jennings, beaten twice in the first 4 minutes of the second half. The swinging corner by Brooking again. There it is. And look at that big number 5, Dave Watson. And they could only hit it into the roof of the net. 3-0.
They're relying a lot here. They're relying a lot on Pat Jennings, and he's not getting to the ball. And there's no real competition from the big England players on these crosses. This is what we said earlier on. This could be the downfall of the Irish, and it's proven to be exactly that.
Well, in fairness, it's what you said, Jack, and you were absolutely right, that a combination of Watson and Latchford might be a little too much for big Chris Nicol on his own at the back, and they might get beaten in the air. That's exactly the way it's proved. A foul by Armstrong on Keegan, and a good advantage played by referee Eriksson. And here come England again, with Brooking played wide for Barnes. Ron Greenwood has played 12 games as the England manager. He's been in charge 12 times. They've lost only one, and it doesn't look as though they're going to lose tonight. That one against West Germany. Curry hustled out of it by Martin O'Neill. And Ireland are going to bring on a substitute. I think they're going to take off maybe Cochrane, is it? No, it's going to be Billy Caskey coming off and Derek Spence coming on. Well, the crowd are really excited now. Jack.
Well, we said it could be. They could get back in if they got a goal and finish up with a draw, or it could be 5 for England. And who would bat against 5 for England now? 3 goals is a tremendous lead, and England now must play with all the confidence in the world, having that little bit of space to go at.
That was, in fact, let me put you right, it was Derek Spence who's on, it's Caskey who's gone off. But England are 3-0 up, there's no confusion about that. And here's Cochrane. Hughes playing it back, presumably to Ray Clemence. Suddenly the pressure is off Ray Clemence as well, off the England defence. And if they keep their heads and their nerve now, it should really be plain sailing for the 40 minutes or so that remain. Here's Brooking. Spence getting in very quickly. O'Neill. Ireland's really hope, their only hope now is to snatch something quickly to give themselves a bit of heart and something to build on. McIlroy. O'Neill. There's Watson going in. Well, there have been 1 or 2 question marks against 1 or 2 things in that England defence, but by and large, apart from one aberration I remember in the first half, Watson has been superb, and Chris Nicol conceding a corner there. And Keegan there wanting to take it quickly. Brooking, it's a short one. Coppell. And Curry offside. Nicol. Played in for Armstrong. McCreary. Finding Cochrane. Now, can he find a good cross as well? That's a much better cross. And it's coming now for McElroy. Now for O'Neill. McElroy again, with men lining up in the middle. O'Neill. It's a good cross again, and again Big Dave Watson's there to get it away for England. Coppell versus McElroy, with McElroy in possession. Still with O'Neill, now with McElroy. Curry slightly committing himself, the cross coming in, Mills right-footed getting it away. Keegan up above them all, Brooking trying to make it as well. It's Cochrane instead, and now with Nicol. Nelson to Jimmy Nicol. Forward to Spence, the substitute on for Kasky. Coppell's touch for Barnes. Keegan surrounded by Green, but a little back heel finding Coppell, and now here's Latchford. Brooking's right up there. There's a nice pass there for Peter Barnes. Coppell with the shot, and it was Rice who had to hook that one away. It could have gone past Jennings so easily. England's throw. 10 minutes of the second half gone. Barnes trying to wrinkle his way out of that corner, does so, and finds Coppell. Ball ran kindly there for Coppell. Here's Emlyn Hughes. Brooking. Well, that might be an interesting ball inside the full-back, but it was spotted quickly by Jennings. Well, Wembley for a long time has not been the happiest of hunting grounds for England, although of course they beat Hungary 4-1 here in the summer. It's always been a scramble and a struggle and the odd goal win. But and it's no mean feat against a very good Irish side to find themselves 3-0 up.
It's amazing how much more time the England players seem to have on the ball now. The time to look and time to do what they want to do. And, you know, things can only get better for them from now on in.
Is that because the pressure's off them? That they got more time, Jack, or that the Irish have become dispirited? I don't know. And here's Curry going through, and Jennings quickly out.
It's, you know, your tails are open, and you do things automatically now, simply, and you suddenly find yourself with time and room to do it. People don't seem to be closed down quite as quickly.
Well, Armstrong wasn't closed down, and neither was Spence there as they take it up for Northern Ireland. My word, a rocket shot there over the side netting. Optimistically, Derek Spence was claiming a corner. I don't think Ray Clemence even saw that one. Keegan. Brought down, was he? No, he slipped as he tried to turn. It's an Irish throw. Back to Pat Jennings.
It'll be interesting to see what sort of a show Tony Curry turns on now. At this stage of the game, normally he would start to put on a little bit of his magic, and I hope he doesn't. I hope he keeps on playing positively the way he's been doing in this game up to now.
Well, now it's Keegan. Lifting it through there for Brooking, who's played very much up front, very much a forward, positive performance by Trevor Brooking tonight. Coming forward much more, Brooking, Jack.
Yeah, well, he's had McCreary picking him up most of the game, and McCreary seems to have left him a little bit now, and he's coming into the game a lot more.
Is Nelson for Northern Ireland. Chris Nicol underneath this one, but heading it straight down to Tony Curry. Well, that wasn't the sort of magic you were thinking about.
No, I think he knew what he wanted to do, and he just slipped as he went to do it.
Well, Barnes said thank you. A little bit of Irish confusion there, and England get a throw. McMills with the England throw. Now an Irish throw. Coming up to a quarter of an hour of the second half gone. England leading by 3 goals to 0. Kevin Keegan, Bob Blanchford and Dave Watson, their scorers. 2 goals really in the first 4 minutes of the second half. Really, I don't know about killed off Ireland, but certainly made it very, very difficult for them. Mills to Brooking, a guided header there to Curry, but he was hustled out of it by O'Neill. McElroy picking it up and finding Jimmy Nicholl. Armstrong chasing after this, but Hughes nicely in control. Coppell. The ball kept in play, but only just. Chris Nicholl not fooled by Keegan's dummy. And now the ball out of play for an English throw. Keegan making life difficult there for Nicholl in the air, Chris Nicholl, although Chris Nicholl, I suppose, must be a good foot taller. Jimmy Nicholl finding Martin O'Neill for Northern Ireland. And now Jerry Armstrong for Northern Ireland. Spence is up with him, McElroy's up with him. Spence calling for the cross, the long legs of Dave Watson. My word, tremendous game he's had. Here's Coppell. Wanting Phil Neal to be a little more positive. And I suspect some of those whistles and boos are coming from England fans as well. They, I think, like Big Jack, want to see 4 or 5 goals here by England tonight and feel that it's on. McElroy. Good pass there for Cochrane. With Nelson outside him. But Cochrane might have a few problems of his own. If actually he gets the ball back. And now here's Curry, leading off for England. Sweeping the ball a little too firmly there for Peter Barnes. Ball with O'Neill. And get Mills going the wrong way. The short pass for McElroy. Here's Jimmy Nicholl coming up. Terry Cochrane on the far side, supported by Sammy Nelson. Still with Cochrane, the short little pass there. They might come to something here yet. Derek Spence tries to go in there, and eventually, my word, it didn't go in. It was Armstrong's shot, and then it bounced off the shoulder of Ray Clemence, and McElroy couldn't quite turn it in. England escape, and it might shake them up a little bit. Here's Brooking. Now it's Coppell. Brooking outside him, a lot of space out there as well. Cross curling in towards Keegan, but Chris Nicholl was there first. Tony Curry played wide here for Peter Barnes. It's a good deep cross again, and Sammy Nelson quite happy to put that one behind for the England corner.
I think Ron Atkinson said at half-time that he didn't think the quality of the England crosses had been what it should have been. But in this second half, the quality has been that much better. Probably Ron's told him to get the ball deep and get it to the far post.
Corner coming in, Keegan's backward header, Latchford again! The old 1-2. Keegan really had to, small though he is, he had to stoop to make a backward header with that one. Brooking's corner, Keegan stooping down, and Latchford from close range. Number 4, Jack.
But it just shows, you see Jimmy Nicholl's out there again with him. And Jimmy Nicholl doesn't really know how to handle this sort of situation with Keegan. Where probably they were expecting a long, deep England ball, they pulled a 5-card trick on them and played it short and sharp into the near post. And it was terrifically well worked. Keegan's run was lovely.
So much for England being the underdogs, according to Ron Greenwood. A great bit of kidology. Not that I think anybody was really fooled by it, but they have really dominated this second half. Ireland had as much of the first half as England, but no doubt who's been bossing this second half. 3 goals in the opening 19 minutes of the second half. They've killed off Ireland without any doubt at all. Here's Rice. Rice again. Through to almost a chance for Derek Spence. Neil did well to fool McNills in that way, and now it's England attacking with Phil Neal. Brooking looking up to see what's on. Tony Curry's on for him. Spence is getting back at him. So Curry with Brooking outside him. A simple pass for Trevor Brooking. And a bad cross. Well, in fact, that looked to be on a decent piece of turf out there. It is badly cut up on that side where the ball is doing some strange things, but that seemed to come quite on a respectable piece of the Wembley turf to Keegan.
He's a terrific passer of the ball, and he's got great vision, Trevor Brooking. And when he tried to play that ball there, he tried to play it very, very early because there were 2 England players and two Irish players almost in the middle of the 6-yard box. And had his ball been a good cross, it could have caused a lot more trouble for Ireland.
Watson and Mills. And Keegan offside. Not a lot in it, but enough. So Keegan sportingly goes to get the ball. Well, there's really something for the Wembley crowd to cheer and to celebrate, and they're doing just that. Cleary. It's now with Cochrane in a bit of space. And now Brooking, looking up, again to see what's on, finding Peter Barnes with an inch, perfect ball. Keegan making a run across him. Latchford's looking for his hat-trick and has gone away out to the right. Barnes might be prepared to go on.
This is what you call nightmares for defenders. When you're 4 goals down and your team's attacking and overcommitting themselves, trying to get a goal back, and you suddenly find teams pouring at you in 4 and 5s at a time. You know, Peter Barnes, on his left foot, the ball could have gone anywhere, really, but it was a good chance for a shot. But there's so many people now coming at the Irish back 4. You know, where's it going to end?
Yes, on that occasion it was Keegan swarming off to the left and Latchford down to the right. And always the threat coming from Barnes through the middle. Here's Brooking again. Well, he's left them for dead there. Oh, what a pass there! And it might come yet for Keegan. Latchford was on for his hat-trick then. A beautiful ball by Brooking, and here's Barnes. Played for McMills, and played wide of the goal. Well, it looked odds on. What a great ball here by Brooking coming up, Jack.
Yeah, but he's got good vision and he can see these things. This is not the first time he's played that sort of ball for England. But his strength, he's a strong lad and he's a good runner forward, and he sees what's happening at the end of his passes. And, you know, I mean, he's dropped a little bit off McCreary in this half, and he's playing much better now. He's getting much more time on the ball and being able to come forward with it.
Now it's with Latchford. Back towards Barnes, and the ball fell nicely for him off Martin O'Neill. A back heel for Mick Mills. Curry wanting it, and Curry getting it. Here's Mills. Here's Brooking. Coming at him from all angles now. A deep one. And nodded in there, but the whistle had gone. Coppell offside. In fact, it's an offside on this side of the field. Must have been Brooking. O'Neill back to Clemence. Well, any doubts anybody had about Ron Greenwood's philosophy in sticking to men who'd served him well, anybody who criticised that have been made really to eat their words tonight. Because it's been a very good England performance, Jack. Still with 20 minutes to go.
It's been a very good England performance, but it's never been a brilliant performance. The game's never reached any real heights, and England have never played that well consistently, just in little patches when they've looked really good.
Here's Spence, the substitute, not getting the better of Emlyn Hughes, and Hughes is on his feet again. The ball out of play for, I was going to say an England throw, but there was a foul on an Irish player, giving them a free kick. Played in quickly there for McElroy. And here's Brooking. Well, he looked as though he might have been in trouble there, but didn't exactly get out of it, but it's a throw for Ireland. So Cochrane. Now for Rice. Straight to Brooking. Strange ball that. And the linesman was flagging for some strange reason as an offside. And good refereeing again by Ulf Eriksson as Coppell now finds Phil Neal on the far side. Played in towards Barnes. Rice winning it in the air quite comfortably, finding McElroy. Martin O'Neill of Nottingham Forest. Armstrong ahead, Rice coming up. Not quite the same conviction about Ireland coming forward in the second half here as we saw so often in the first half. But O'Neill with a cross and a little too high for Spence, and a goal kick.
Ireland's midfield is all about but disintegrated now. Sammy McElroy, who looked such a good player in the first half, has shown nothing in the second half at all. Little McCleary's never really picked up anyone, and the England midfield have dominated this half of the second half, and will continue to do so. They're on top of the game now.
I think most people expected McCleary to pick up Keegan, but as he did Brady apparently in the game in Dublin. But he's a good little marker, but he hasn't really done the marking job tonight. Here's Brooking though for England. It's a cross there towards Latchford, and it's a corner coming off for either Chris Nicholl or Pat Rice. Funny enough, that's where Brooking's best crosses seem to come from that left-hand side. Certainly for West Ham, when he floats down that left-hand side, you suspect something might happen. This is corner played for Coppell, trying to catch it on the volley. Latchford trying to get in there, and Curry is in there, kicked off the line though. Spence. And now Armstrong. Coppell right back there, unaware that Nicholl was behind him, but the whistle had gone in any case. And Nicholl, for reasons best known to himself, carried on well after the whistle had gone and kicked it way past the England goal. It's a free kick to Northern Ireland.
It shows you what you can happen though when you've got a big fella like Latchford in the middle and your thumb balls into the middle of the box. He puts Pat Jennings under a tremendous amount of pressure there on that ball, and all Pat can do is knock it down, and it goes to Curry, who really, you know, he struck the ball well, and it could have been another goal.
Yes, kicked off the line there as we saw on that slow motion replay, and now we're here with Martin O'Neill. And a free kick going. That looked a little harsh.
fact, it looked very harsh.
I've been a little bit disappointed in O'Neill tonight. He's looked a much better player with Nottingham Forest than he's looked tonight. He's not really seemed to find his position here at all.
Well, now McElroy, who hit the England post in the first half from a free kick, running over it and allowing Pat Rice to knock one in there. Cochrane played in once more. Chris Nicholl had gone up there and he stayed up there, and McElroy had it knocked off his head by Phil Neal. Here's Brooking with a few options open to him, finding Barnes, and away goes Barnes again. Keegan up ahead of him. Keegan slipping, Barnes going on, and Ireland consolidating. Well, I thought they had, but yes, here we are with Jimmy Nicholl. Spence. They've really battled against the odds up front, Ireland, tonight. In the first half, Armstrong and Caskey, hard though they fought, they really didn't make a great impression, and the same goes for Spence and Armstrong now. Neal playing it forward. Look at the space there for Tony Curry. He's gone past McCreary as though McCreary didn't exist. Played in beautifully now for Brooking. Is the shot coming in this time? Well, it really wasn't powerful enough. Brooking with a half-hearted appeal for a penalty against the hands of Chris Nicholl. Cochrane. Oh, he outwitted Curry. Here's Spence. Played on again, and an offside. The flag was up, but my word, that must have been a very, very tight one indeed, because I thought Mills looked to be lying back a bit. It's with Curry. We're left with a quarter of an hour, with England leading 4-0. 2 goals by Latchford, 1 by Keegan that set the whole thing going, and 1 by Big Dave Watson. Latchford, Curry, O'Neill doing some chasing, and that's a corner for England. The sign for Watson to come forward to offer that twin threat with Latchford. Here's Watson, watched by Chris Nicholl. Brooking just turning it on towards Keegan, and Keegan turning it back for Brooking, but Brooking had gone into the box. McElroy, O'Neill, Rice, and now Jerry Armstrong, McElroy. Nice fluent passing movement here by the Irish. Rice played into Spence, and well, at least it looked as though it was being played into Spence, but again Watson was in like lightning, and again he tried to play the ball across his own penalty area. And Brooking right back there, as that ball could so easily have fallen to Cochrane, and again you point an accusing finger at Dave Watson, because it was his pass in the first place that really put England under pressure. Sammy Nelson. It's extraordinary, twice he's done that in this game now, Jack.
Well, it's amazing the number of people who do get pushed towards the touchline, who think that they must play the ball back in field. I know they have to play back in field, but just to hump up the line is a much better ball.
Watson now. Having said that, he's had a very sound game all the way through, and of course he scored one of the goals. That's an obstruction there by Emlyn Hughes on Martin O'Neill, a free kick for Northern Ireland.
England are just getting a little bit slack now. They've sort of settled for the 4-0, and they're just playing the game out. And a little bit slack at the back. One's picking up a little bit now.
O'Neill. Rice. Deep one. Jerry Armstrong on the far side. And Latchford right back there to help his defence. Well, Armstrong has given him the slip. He's given Watson the slip. He's played it for Cochrane here. And that time it was Curry's header. Only as far as McElroy. Rice limping up now. And Mills, what a nicely weighted ball that was for Brooking. And there's one for Keegan. Curry, everybody wanting it now in a white shirt. Oh, and Barnes then giving it away. Mills, Brooking. And that's got rid of Martin O'Neill. That's a good ball here for Barnes. Curry. Mills. Straight at Brooking. And a rather belated whistle from the referee, claiming it was a handball against Brooking and a free kick for Northern Ireland.
I'm surprisingly, and I think goals do count in this competition, you know, and as we proved in the World Cup against Italy, we didn't get enough goals, and it's at this stage of the game, that wasn't a very positive move by England. They spent time when they could have played the ball into much more positive positions, and they could do with the goals.
It's Curry to Latchford. Now Rice. O'Neill to Spence. And now for Spence. Oh, the chance was really there. You saw it perfectly from our angle. And maybe that's the scare that England require to get them moving a little more positively. Very slack, as Jack says at the moment. Here's Watson. I don't think those two. England's free kick. Tony Curry. Armstrong. And an offside against Bob Latchford, who had a hat-trick in his sights. Inside the last 10 minutes now. Jerry Armstrong. Cross that straight at Clemence. Really pulling back a little bit. Coppell for England. Keegan after this, but Jimmy Nichols there first. Game has developed into a strange pattern at the moment. You feel that Ireland are incapable of bringing on another substitute. They're taking off Terry Cochrane. And they're bringing on Chris McGrath of Manchester United, formerly at Tottenham. But it's developed into a strange pattern now. You feel that the Irish really is beyond them. They can't do much about this 4-0. And you get the impression that England, their appetite has been satisfied. 7 minutes to go. Well, it's an optimistic thing, I suppose, for Danny Blanchflower to have done, to have put another striker on, maybe in the hope of snatching something, but the game certainly on the night is way beyond their reach now.
I like to send people home happy. When you've had a good performance like England have had tonight, you know, to let the game die at this stage, it seems a shame to me. I'd much rather they went on and were positive and maybe got another goal or get a couple of more chances.
Nicol with the shot and a weak one. And do you think you have sent them home happy in your career, Jack?
Not particularly me, but, you know, I've never been followed up that often to have done it, you know, but at this stage of the game, what is it? Send them, make them laugh and send them home happy. and another goal or another couple of good chances would just do that.
Yes, in point of fact, 4-0 up. It just needs now, certainly from England's point of view, either to pop another one in or to have a lovely final flourish that people will go away remembering. But it's a good, handsome lead, and it's one certainly that everybody in the English camp would have settled for at 7:45 tonight. Curry battling away. Indeed, the Irish have battled away. It's a free kick for England, though. Foul by Martin O'Neill. And it's with Emlyn Hughes now. Brooking almost lazily forward there for Keegan. Here's Curry. Well, that's going to fall for Coppell. Neil. Brooking. Back for Neil. The last 5 minutes of the game, and the long cross towards Keegan and Jennings. And the flag was up. McElroy nicking it on there for Spence, and now for Chris McGrath. Almost the first touch that the second Irish substitutes had. It's stopped though by Neil. Here's Coppell. Spence, who's done a lot of battling since he came on as a substitute, trying to get in there. Keegan's passed through. Look at Jennings right out there. A good 7 or 8 yards outside his own penalty area, and that's a good piece of play there by Steve Coppell, trying to get the ball back into that penalty area quickly. Well, we almost sent them home with something to laugh about there. That was a great bit of thinking by Jennings to come out as quickly as that, but equally a tremendous piece of thinking by Coppell.
It was a laugh by Bob Latchford there. If he had connected with that header, he might have got his hat-trick.
It's a free kick. Four minutes to go now, and England cruising. Neil to Coppell. Played in for Neil. Here's Brooking. This is for Barnes. One or two really exciting moments from Peter Barnes. Mick Mills. Here's Keegan. Now will England top it all off with another goal? Well, Keegan's lost his man, and that's going to be too close. Jennings over the crossbar, in fact. The man a bit annoyed with himself, but certainly the cross for Latchford's second goal. Oh no, it was the first Latchford goal, wasn't it? It was, as Jack said, absolutely brilliant.
He doesn't seem to beat people, Kevin. His legs seem to go so quick, and he changes direction so many times. He throws them off balance, and he manages to get away from people like that. But he certainly gets through a tremendous amount of work.
Mills with the throw, back for Watson. Keegan nodding that one on. Jimmy Nicholl was at him, but there wasn't enough support for England up front. And the game really now just going through the formalities of the last few minutes. Hughes getting there before Spence, with Mills supporting him, and Clemence supporting them.
this crowd wants something to cheer, you know, and they're cheering everything that England do at the back. And I would like to see something to cheer up front. You know, I don't want the game to die now. It's been a good performance.
Keegan's header. Matchford a little bit off balance there. Under pressure from Sammy Nelson. McGrath stopped in his tracks by Curry. Played in again for Latchford. Here's Brooking. McCreary was at him. In fairness, they've really battled this Irish side. They were killed really by those 2 goals in the first 4 minutes of the second half. A little dispirited when the third one of this half went in, England's fourth. But their heads haven't gone down too far. With a minute to go now, are we going to get the final flourish from England? Here's Mills. Keegan dummying but not fooling Chris Nicholl. Spence